Hi friends, I hope that everybody's doing well. Before we get into the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. May have recently gone through an ending, maybe waiting for something to happen. For some of you, this feels like a specific message. For some of you, you have, you've been going through a divorce or a separation and you're legally waiting on something related to like finances, resources. Doesn't have to be just a divorce within a marriage. It can be like you had been partners with somebody and you guys are no longer working together and there may be some sort of settling legally that you're waiting for. Remember, this can also be happening on like a spiritual plane as well. There could be some sort of justice that's coming into play. I'm hearing something about the council being involved. So yeah, many different ways that this can be applied. But for some of you physically, you're going to see this, meaning like the legal system is involved in this in some way. And I'm seeing something that you're waiting on. It's like the money hasn't come through or something hasn't been settled yet. For some of you, I'm hearing something about a lawsuit even. So things of that nature. Let's get into it. Yeah, I'm getting something about like money being split up. Money or like resources or things that you have ownership of. We're starting off with the devil. The devil represents Capricorn. Something that you want, something that you're wishing for. Definitely want to be tuning into your intention space, and also for some of you, even like what you're using tarot readings for and stuff like that. Or like anything where you're getting connected with. I'm hearing stuff about the other side. So yeah, when it comes to your intention space, it's like before you get a reading or before you get into a reading, before you're clicking on things, before you are ingesting things energetically, you want to be asking yourself, like, what is my intention here? Is this something that's in alignment? Is this something that's coming from a place of attachment or even suffering? Am I just like prolonging something that I'm actually meant to be working with or working on? I do get a sense of, like, with the devil and the Nine of Cups, it can kind of be like a greedy energy where, yeah, you may be wanting something that is beside the main point. You can be very caught up in things that are like of a worldly nature, because the devil is like this fixation on things that are more like a band-aid than anything. It's like when you leave your body, like when you die, you're no longer going to have access to these things anymore. So it's very fleeting, the things that the devil represents. It can be like instant gratification. It can be like chasing after money and stuff, but then not feeling like there's a sense of spiritual fulfillment here. And so like you may be really concerning yourself at times with like, what's this person doing? What's that person doing? Like, how much money are they making over there? Like, what's their job? Like, what do they have? Stuff like that. What do I have? Can this person provide that for me? Like, I want this person to get justice over there. But in a way where you may be like very, very involved heavily within like the illusion of the 3D and not stepping back out of it. And you may be using spiritual means to access things that are going on in the physical plane that when you look into it, you're like, what is this actually really doing for me? So you want to be asking yourself who you're getting connected with. I will say this too. Just because somebody has a particular job, ability, what have you, just because they are able to do certain things, it does not mean that they are using that for the highest good. And so that's always something that you want to ask, because you could be getting into something that's a karmic situation that is going to be accruing the type of karma for you that you don't necessarily want and participating in something. So that's why you want to ask, like, am I creating further separations? Are my actions, are my intentions creating further separation? Or am I creating further like love and unity and harmony and mindfulness and conscientiousness, stuff like that? Because yeah, I'm definitely getting this sense of like using some sort of resource or means, whether this be like your own ability to do tarot, or you connecting with a channeler or like a medium or a psychic, somebody that has spiritual like gifts or abilities that you're seeing, and you may be using them for like worldly means and worldly purposes, rather than, and not because like inherently there's anything wrong with worldliness, but there's like a fixation here with the devil, and there's a focus on that because the devil speaks about things being there's a lack of regulation, there's a lack of moderation, there's a lack of balance, and it can even be borderlining into like things that you feel obsessive about. So it's something to be moderated. And to have the Five of Swords on the bottom of the deck can be like you using something to prove a point or to feed the ego in some way. So again, it's something that you want to be mindful of. Like, why am I looking this up? Like, why do I want to know that information? Like, why is that something that matters to me? Is my intention space coming from a space that is like feeding me and nourishing those around me? Or is it coming from a space where I'm creating further like separation and pain? Things like that. So yeah, getting behind your intention space for why you're doing what you're doing and also what you're consuming. Yeah, especially when it comes to, it's like this, even if you're not the one reading cards, if you're the one like clicking on a video and watching it, this is just an example. If you're the one clicking on a video and watching it, you are consuming that energetically. It's tapping into your field energetically. And so you want to be mindful of what it is that you're absorbing and consuming, what your resources of information are. And you too want to ask yourself, like when you walk away from something, and it doesn't just, I'm pointing out things like tarot readings because I'm seeing the High Priestess here, and there's a connection with like esoteric things. However, when it comes to like shows that you watch and people that you're around and media that you listen to and people that you're having conversations with and stuff like that, like when you're having those conversations and when you walk away from it, do you feel like angry? Do you feel resentful? Do you feel like hateful? Do you feel vengeful? Do you feel angry? Like all of those things. Do you feel the things that feel uncomfortable to feeling and things that feel heavy to feel? Or do you feel at peace? Do you feel more loving? Do you feel like your heart is opening up? Do you feel more willing to connect? Do you feel open to what other people are saying? Are you showing yourself compassion and love? Are you showing other people compassion and love and understanding and things like that? So yeah, you want to ask yourself, like, vibrationally, how is something rubbing up against you? And like, what vibration are you sinking to? Are you rising up? Are you lowering? What's going on? Because that's also going to affect your desire system as well. Because yeah, something even about like knowledge and intention. I'm even getting something about things being abused here in some way. Or like abused meaning not being used in alignment with the highest good. So yeah, just something you want to pay attention to. Is what you're doing creating conflict, or is it creating unity and peace? Yeah. You could be like using something impulsively too, rather than kind of checking in and being like, what's my intention space before I'm doing this? As I said before, just because you have access to something, it doesn't immediately make it be something that's like in alignment for you. There are different ways to be using things and accessing things, and you want to be asking yourself, you want to be, whatever it is that you're doing, when you are exchanging energy, you want to be mindful of how you are doing that, of how you are connecting, because it has a vibrational effect where spiritual things that you're doing, energetic things that you're doing, it then goes on to affect you physically. And it's going to shape like your perspective and all of these things. And it has the ability to either bring like joy and love and happiness into your light and awareness and things like that, or to bring like sadness and misery, and you looking back on things and feeling very stuck and like within a space of victimization and all of those things, making it harder to adjust and to adapt and to be present within your life. Somebody may be coming through, like attempting to pull you into something or draw you into something also. I mean, this can be your own motivations. There can, for some of you, also be somebody that's coming around where you're like, I don't really know if I want to connect with them in that way. You may be just in a very different place than this person is. I'm seeing somebody that may be, funny, I'm getting the word spunky. Somebody that may be, I'm seeing a disco ball here. This person may be entertaining, but you guys may have two, maybe different ways of doing things. I'm also hearing purpose, maybe two different purposes you feel. Yeah, I will say this as well. The devil can also represent you being in an environment that may be like more difficult to maneuver within. I'm seeing it's something that may be tricky, like, oh, if you feel an energy kind of sticking to you, being mindful of that and being like, I kind of want to disengage from that. I don't want anything really clinging to me. I want to kind of move through. I'm even seeing you go through a corridor where the walls are kind of sticky, and if you get like pressed up against them, you're kind of gonna get stuck within that like frequency of what's happening. And so if you stay in the middle lane, you can move through this, but it's not something that's easy. It's a matter of figuring out how to work the mechanics of this situation is what I'm seeing. You may, for some of you too, you're maneuvering through a tower right now as well. Which, the tower would be here to shake things down into place for you. It may not feel like that at first, but in the grand scheme of things, that's what would be happening. Yeah, it looks like there's something that you're invited to participate in or that you may be considering starting, but I'm seeing a decision attached to this. As you're moving through kind of like a building that is tumbling down, metaphorically speaking, the more calm and aware and patient you are as you're moving through this, you know, like you can, again, metaphorically speaking, it's like this building is tumbling down. And you can be like bouncing off the walls and freaking out and not thinking clearly. And you're going to make moves that you wouldn't make if you were calm. And they may be more short-sighted. Or you can move into a space where you're like, I'm going to tap into a higher frequency here. I'm going to ground my energy. And I'm going to find the best and most effective way to maneuver through this situation that may feel like quite disastrous as it's happening. However, it's going to be like moving you and guiding you more in alignment than you had been before. Because something was going on that wasn't meant to continue, and that's why the tower is here. It's like something got like so far out of alignment that the tower comes and knocks things back into place. And there, you can be in a spot where you're like, hey, I was building that. Why are you knocking that over? But the tower is just restoring balance. And the more grounded you are as you move through this process, the more successfully you are going to be completing this. I'm seeing you be very cool, calm, and collected, especially in a situation that may be particularly difficult to kind of be in that space within. Okay, I'm getting another energy coming through. Are we going to move into this? Okay, let me just finish what I'm saying here. You're about to come out on the other side of something in a very fresh and new energy. And it's kind of like your guides picking you up and plopping you down in some new territory, and you may be in a space where you're like, this was not what I wanted. I didn't want to be here. They made a mistake. I wasn't supposed to be sent here. However, this is something that you are going to adjust to. It may just feel like a difficult adjustment in the beginning. You may feel kind of like worried, scared, experiencing anxiety, stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like this is to promote you to take action and to take more charge, to take charge more so within your life, within this situation. But if you feel very uncomfortable with that, this is like you leaning into your masculine fire energy, initiating, taking action, proving to yourself you know how to steer this ship. Because you may have not been steering the ship, and now your guides are like, now you're the only one on this ship. So that means that you are the captain, and if you don't steer it, then you don't steer it, and we don't know what's going to happen. But they're definitely encouraging you to take control of this situation, is how I'm seeing it. But you may be in a spot where you're like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I've never driven the ship before. But yeah, if you, as soon as you like dry your eyes and move through this, you're going to see that you're actually very capable of doing this, is what I'm seeing. It's just a matter of, yeah, you showing yourself that you can do this. I'm definitely seeing you have like wisdom and intelligence on your side too. It's just a matter of taking action, which you may feel a bit uncomfortable with. You may like second guess yourself too at times as well. Okay, so let me talk about the other energy that I'm seeing coming through. There may be something that you desire, something that you wish, and you have an attachment to this thing. We're going to chalk this up to a person, but it can really be anything. It can be like you want a cigarette really badly and you quit smoking and you're like, this would be impulsive for me to do. I shouldn't like go down this road where I'm going to start smoking cigarettes anymore. But you have a decision to make because it seems like something's available to you. If this is a person, you're in a situation where it's like the devil is coming through again and being like, hey, do you still find me attractive? And saying like, hey, we have a connection here. Something can happen, you know? I know that you want me. It's a situation like this. And I'm seeing the high priestess be in a space where, and like you are the high priestess here. We all have access to the high priestess. You're in a spot where you're thinking to yourself, you know, I recognize that this would be an impulsive move for me to make. I also know too that when it comes to what the devil is showing up as for you, you may have a very hard time moderating that. This can be a person that shows up. It's like, it's better to have them, you feel, out of your life, because once they come into your life, you're not able to be in a middle state of balance. And you just know that there's something chemistry wise that goes on with us where I can't maintain balance within that, and so I'm not even going to touch it in the first place, because I'm seeing this wisdom like you already know what it is within this situation, but something is showing up here in full force and feeling very, very appealing and magnetic and tempting to you, and you get to choose, do I want to go down that road or do I not? But I'm seeing you be in a spot where like you already know where this is going to lead for you. So it's not like you're going into this blindly. I'm seeing you be in a space where you know what this situation is. And with all of your full knowing, you get to decide what you want to do about this now. And I'm seeing a decision that you're making, and I'm seeing that this may really blow something out of the water for you. However, if you're really able to tap into this energy of the High Priestess and say, I'm going to do what's in alignment with my highest good, and I'm going to control myself rather than feeding into this impulsive energy of mine where I just want to go after something because it feels good within a moment, because I know where that leads me. Even if it's something that starts off small, you know that it's a slope that, like, once you get on that track, you are not able to stop yourself until you hit rock bottom again. So I'm seeing you be in a space where you're like, I can avoid this completely. If I can just exercise a sense of control and mindfulness over this impulsivity of mine, I'm going to be able to come out of this. And I'm seeing you have this opportunity to really choose. There are like these two roads that you can be going down, and you're the one that gets to make the choice here. However, you may be really struggling with this because you're like, what does my life look like without me going down that road that I know I'm going to crash and burn on? Like, even though I know I'm going to crash and burn, it's comfortable to me because at least I know what it is. At least I know what's going to happen. And I'm seeing you be in a space where there's a possibility for you to kind of explore a new way now. But that may be very unfamiliar and very uncomfortable. And you may be feeling very, very scared too with the Nine of Swords on the bottom of the deck. This can even be feeling like terrified of stuff because it's not something that you're familiar with. It's not what you've experienced before, and it feels so uncomfortable. And this is when your coping strategies come into play. This is when your mindfulness comes into play. You can feel fear, you can feel uncomfortable, you can be experiencing anxiety, and you can still make the decision that you want to make. You don't have to play into that. You don't have to hold on to it and exacerbate it and then make a choice where, in looking back, you think to yourself, if I had grounded my energy, I wouldn't have made that choice. And so now's the time for you to do that. Because the energy with the King of Cups, it's not about bypassing. This is not about saying, I'm not scared. It's not about like dismissing your feelings. This is about validating your feelings and not allowing your emotional experience that you're having to determine this choice that you make here. It's about working with it and embracing it and still making the choice that you feel is connected with your deeper sense of knowing, which is not an emotion, it's your intuition, and that's your internal guide, and that's what you're tapping into. And I'm seeing something too that like you've been experiencing tapping more and more into your intuition and having this sense of wisdom that you have access to. And you know that you feel that so clearly. When you are in your grounded space, when you are in a state of feeling centered and present within your experience, there's no issue with your connection with the High Priestess, with your connection with your higher sense of knowing, your higher self. It's only when you get so caught up in the other things that they start becoming so real to you that you forget you have that connection there. And you start to access your other connections over that connection that you have with the High Priestess. But I'm seeing you be in a space now where it kind of feels like a pause is being put on all of this. I'm seeing like even plastic wrap going over a plate. So it's like, before we touch any of that yet, before we decide to do anything with it yet, before we choose like, I'm going to eat this or I'm not going to eat that, you get to decide, how do I want to do this? And me knowing everything that I know with all of the skills and strategies that I have and the mindfulness, I really do get to be the one that's in control of this situation. It's just a matter of me showing up for myself here and taking action in a way that feels empowering to me. Especially within a very, very difficult situation. This is not an easy situation. I'm seeing something that feels very, very difficult to work through. I'm seeing a situation that looks very tempting and it would be very easy to cave into it. However, you get to choose if you want to succumb to this situation or if you have transcended this and reached a more stable, higher frequency so that you don't have to crash and burn through this experience any longer. So this is your choice here, where your guides are saying to you, do we want to repeat this cycle or are you finished with it? Do we not need to repeat this again? It's your choice. You have the choice. And I'm seeing you kind of be in a space where you feel a little bit frozen, where you're like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know like if I want to do that or if I don't want to do that. But if you just sit with your energy and allow yourself to calm and allow yourself to still, you're going to hear very clearly what's right for you to do within this situation. It's a matter of you trusting yourself. It's a matter of you trusting yourself and really looking into this situation and asking yourself, if I engage with this again, am I going to find what I'm looking for within this situation? Or is it time for me to break into a new energy and for me to start a new journey in a new direction? I'm looking at Capricorn, Moon, Mars, Uranus. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for joining. Thank you for connecting. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.